Dr. Ayabacho, my guest today, is described by his followers as the leader of the armed opposition to Cameroon's President Paul Biya. The armed conflict now in its 8th year shows no signs of abating. So, if no one is going to win on the battlefield outright, what's plan B for Dr. Ayabacho? Now, that's the same question I would ask if I had the opportunity to question President Biya on this platform. Get this clear. A lot of people have asked me why I should be interviewing somebody in their words so vicious as Ayabacho. Here is my answer. Why not? We do not invite guests to this program on account of how we like or dislike anybody. That's why I say if I had my way, I would interview President Biya, not because we had or we share much in common. We invite people to this platform considering the impact their actions or inaction have on ground zero, the impact their actions or inaction have on real people. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope I make my point once and for all clear. My name is Divine Chamukong. I'm anchoring this broadcast from Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, fondly described as Washington District of Cameroon.
Guns of an occupier that never for once ever thought these slaves will rise up to challenge his authority.
You used to word a key word on governability, and I think everybody agrees on that. I think even the governor in Bamenda would agree, even if he says the contrary. People overseas would agree, even if some say the contrary. Let's talk about the atmosphere of on governability, because I got a lot of questions from ground zero on that. When you render a society or a city or a region ungovernable, who takes the brunt? The citizens, definitely.
That's the nature of liberation wars. You see, we are acting as though we are in a situation of normalcy. You know, this is a liberation war. It's not a kind of a political struggle where you want to overthrow an existing government, where you have the capital city taking the brunt. During the period of normal occupation without response, the occupied people have taken the brunt. During processes of environmental destruction because of massive exploitation of resources, the occupied people have taken the brunt. During using our resources as collateral and then in response, the occupied people have taken the brunt. During processes of environmental destruction because of massive exploitation of resources, the occupied people have taken the brunt. During using our resources as collateral and then indebting our country, creating insecurity, lack of proper sanitary situations, the occupied people have taken the brunt.
Yeah, but the question is, and I do understand that's war.
Let me conclude.
Okay.
It is not because of the resistance that the people are taking the brunt. It is because of the occupation. We should not misconstrue the 7 years period of armed resistance as the foundation of the decadence of our society. Before we rose up with arms, you had situation of roads unpassable. You had people having accidents because of these pot roads. You had hospitals being places where rather than get treatment, people go to die.
Are you in control of the fighters on the ground, your fighters?
I am the commander-in-chief. I'm in charge.
Okay, if you're in charge, I will expect that you take responsibility for all the things they do. Do you?
I do.
Okay, some of the things that, according to, as you see, I have a lot of papers in front of me, a lot of questions came from home. Some of the things they do, I've been told, include kidnapping, torture at Alabukam camp, summary killings, all kinds of things going on. It suffices that you own a business and they just come and pull you off and execute you. Do you endorse things like this?
No, because the code of conduct of the Amazonian Defense Forces, which is shared with other forces, does not tolerate acts of kidnapping or torture. The massive acts of kidnapping in our countries is conducted by Cameroon. We must differentiate propaganda with reality. You have cited situations without providing your sources. It's subjective rather than being objective.
But you know that's a journalist. I'm not.
Yeah. I need a source. I need your source. I need names. I need evidence.
Now,
So
since you need names, examples, I had one of the questions that came to me had to do with the I think it's the branch manager of Orange. The letter that came to me said he was kidnapped by your men and they tortured him, called their family, his family, and he was screaming on the phone as they were torturing, and they had to take 10 million francs from him. Are you aware of that, sir?
Yes, I'm aware. Orange,
what did you do?
Orange had been charged to pay its liberation tax, and I was made aware that one of the branch managers was taken into custody because of failure of payment of liberation tax. And I gave instructions consistent with by the international community to resolve it, and looking also into the different strategies, their merit and their shortcomings. And when you see people call and start asking a journalist a question, they feel like the interview is based on social media antics, which do not reflect any reality.
But the reality is that people are kidnapped. In fact, I have almost all of the questions have to do with kidnappings, and the people who send me the questions are attributing the kidnappings to your soldiers, not divine. So I can only bring, unless they're saying I should not ask you the question, I have to give you this credit. You told me that no question should be off the table.
Yes.
That's why I have a pile of papers with questions.
You have a responsibility when you set an interview to understand why you want that interview.
Correct.
And it's important that, but let's go ahead.
Thank you for your understanding. So the question that I have, another question from Ground Zero is, do people have the room to disagree with you without facing deadly reprisals from your fighters or without being called blacklegs?
Well, Ambazonians have disagreed on so many things. We have seen within Ambazonia disagreements on policies. One caller asked the question: if we institute a policy, that becomes a policy, and you cannot simply, in the implementation phase, disrespect the implementation because you disagree with the policy. So people can disagree even with our outcome of independence, but if you cross the red line to becoming an enabler of the occupation,